And
Thank you.
we're going to get more. We weren't sure how many girls were in the class. So right now, I have to share. But, sorry. Okay, so this way you can all be on the same page, literally, and you'll need to share, okay? So, and then we'll buy more for tomorrow. Shayna, if you could just let me know how many more we need, okay, for tomorrow. I mean, later today. Thank you.
This is so funny. How many your preschool? No, but this song is like a preschool song. It's like a oh, never be mine. I love that age. Do you want one?
I'm assuming there's an extra one, yeah?
One for you.
It's fine.
What do you mean? You don't have the whole Haggadah memorized? Rabbi.
I know, but I don't like to brag.
Oh. He's going to show us Haggadah.
It's okay to give it to someone. Excuse me. Okay, so in the beginning of Haggadah in Magid, okay, so first of all, one second, let's start with an introduction. First of all, the Haggadah is a very, very interesting sefer. Very different and unique than any other sefer that you've picked up or learned or anything like that. While you have many, many books in the Jewish library, you can find just as many Haggadahs. In other words, you can fill an entire library with just Haggadahs. It's an amazing, amazing thing. There are many, many different versions of the Haggadah. Of course, there's many different minhagim, just like we have different Sidurim. You have a Sephardi Siddur, an Ashkenazi Siddur, a Chabad Siddur, all types of different nuschayos, so with different versions. Some very largely different, some only with small nuances, but there's very different ones. So times that by 1,000, you have the Haggadah. So you have the what I said, like the broad strokes. You have the general communities that say and do Haggadah differently, but then there's specific Haggadahs that even though they follow the same version, but there are small nuances that are different. Then on top of that, you also have almost every great person, Jewish leader, scholar, whatever, all throughout the generations have written Haggadah, have written explanations on the Haggadah, and it's actually the second thing or the first thing, depending on when it actually was written, but published in terms of when it was published. The second thing that the Rebbe published was his Haggadah. So there's a Haggadah also from the Rebbe, and for many, many years the Rebbe said sichos with explanations on the Haggadah, and it's just a very, very interesting. It's just a very, very interesting book where you have so many different explanations from so many different people over so many thousands of years. And it's just absolutely endless. It's just absolutely endless. You have completely different perspective, contradicting ideas that span, like I said, thousands of years. And the Haggadah evolved also over time. In other words, originally, the idea was that we should tell the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim on the night of Pesach, and that's a mitzvah in the Torah. It says V'gad levincha. It says you should tell your story, your son, your child, the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim. So certainly the people that did this in the beginning didn't need a Haggadah. The people that actually left Mitzrayim, they spoke about their own experiences. But then as time went on, there's became is a question, what exactly do I have to say? What is the minimum? What's the maximum? What am I could talk about one thing a whole night, but maybe I'm missing the main point. What are the main points? And therefore the Haggadah, the Nusach of the Haggadah was formulated over time, specifically or starting with, for sure, with the Anshe Knesset Haggadah. It's part of the Siddur. So just like we have Shachas Mincha Ma'ariv that was formulated by the Anshe Knesset Haggadah, Haggadah is also part of Tefillah, part of things that we do, on a regular basis. So that was originally formulated by them. The Rambam has a Haggadah that he wrote out in his Sefer Yad Chazaka, and then over time, again, more and more things were put together. The 15 steps, for instance, the Kaddish Orchat that we say right in the beginning, was something that was not part of the original Haggadah Nusach. That was something that was added, according to many opinions, by Rashi in the 10th, 11th century. So all of these things have been added. Now, regardless of the fact, I'm going to say this is like the contrast. I'm saying regardless of the fact that the Haggadah is something that has been pieced together, and every person or every generation or different leaders have added either pieces to the actual Haggadah, the actual Nusach of the Haggadah, or explanations on the Haggadah, the reasons why we do different things. There is nothing that's missing, or there's nothing that's empty. There's nothing that is void and just stam. It's just regular, just it's in there just because it's interesting or nice or pretty or whatever. But everything has deep meaning and layers upon layers upon layers and layers of meaning. Even the things that came much, much later on, even something simple like the 15 steps that Rashi wrote later, which isn't the Haggadah itself. It's just saying that this is the schedule. He wrote basically a table of contents for the evening. He said that over the next few hours, we're going to go through these 15 steps. Even that has layers and layers upon meaning, and there's been many commentaries that have come and explained it in all types of different ways of what it is and what it means and how it means and so on. So So we can start with that. The 15 steps in the beginning of the Seder are not only 15, it's not only a table of contents, it's really not a table of contents. It's rather it's you've heard of the 12-step program? Yeah? So this is the 15-step program. The Haggadah is the original 15-step program from Golus to Geula. The evening of the Haggadah, the evening of Pesach, the Leil HaSeder, as it's called, the Seder night, is here for us to actually go out of Mitzrayim. The Haggadah, the rituals, the mitzvahs, all the different things that happen the night of Pesach are there to either emotionally, spiritually, mentally take us out of Mitzrayim. Because anyone can come and schlep someone out of the place where they are, right? Hashem did it also. Of course, Hashem could do anything, but Hashem did it. Even though Hashem did it, he wasn't all that successful. You can physically schlep a person out of a room and bring them to another room, but you can't take them out of the experience. So even though Hashem, with all of his greatness and all of he can do anything, he took the Jews out of Egypt. He destroyed the greatest superpower that was at the time in a very, very short period of time. He destroyed their economy. He destroyed them as a people. He destroyed their government, and he freed his people from slavery. And he literally single-handedly took them out of Mitzrayim. But Mitzrayim did not leave the Jews. And in the end, that generation ended up passing away. They ended up dying in the Midbar, in the desert, because they couldn't get the Mitzrayim out of them. You understand? It's a mentality. It's a mentality that they never fully downloaded. They never fully made it part of them.
I'm so sorry. I just need to borrow one of the Haggadahs. The girls took all the Haggadahs and the diagrams. No, can I? Oh no, I don't need that. Right. We took them all down. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay. Where were we?
Oh, mentality.
Right. So you can take
You
the Yidden and Mitzrayim, but you can't take the Mitzrayim out of Yidden. The person has to actually decide that they want redemption, that they want to leave, they want to go out. And they didn't. Every single time something went wrong, they complained. This is not good, that's not good. Let's try. And they all said, what's the alternative? In other words, what was the complaint? What did they want? They said, well, if you can't fix it, then let's go back to Mitzrayim, because in Mitzrayim it was better. So it's a certain point where you realize that, in the beginning, fine, at the Yam Suf, whatever, they didn't believe it, they didn't feel it, they thought that they were going to be schlepped back anyway, they didn't believe that the Mitzrayim were really destroyed. Slowly, they started to believe more and more and more, but they still never got out of the Galus mentality. So the 15 steps are here in order to help us to get out of the Mitzrayim that we are in. What does it mean, the Mitzrayim that we're in? It means whatever our personal limitations are, whatever it is that's holding us back. Now, this may be something that may be a new concept, maybe an old concept, maybe it's an old concept, but it's still difficult to believe. But we are all our own worst enemy. Sometimes it's a difficult thing to swallow. Some people have a hard time believing it or really, really internalizing it or just understanding it beyond something just as an abstract concept. But the reality is that 99.9% of all of the problems that exist in your life right now, and all the problems that will exist in your life from now to the end of time, are your fault. And it's hard to hear. It's hard to hear it. It's hard to hear it. I'm going to say it once. And then I'm going to say it once, and that's it. And we're going to move on. We are our own worst enemy. We create our own para. We create our own slavery. We create our own limitations that inhibit us or that stop us from growing, from becoming, from reaching our potential. That's it. You see, some people can't handle it. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Some people, all people, for the most part, are live in a world that they see. Most people live in a world that they see. What does that mean? That means that if you see the world differently, so then the world that you live in will change. And sometimes it's hard to believe because we think that the world is throwing things at us, or life is throwing things at us, and we're reacting. But the reality is that the world is reacting and responding to us. How is it possible that the world looks differently for every person? How could the world be different for every person? The world isn't different. The world is one way. But each and every one of us see it differently. And when we see it differently, so then we interpret everything that happens in the way that we see it. And because we see it in a certain way, and we decide to look at it in a positive or a negative or a neutral or a helpful or antagonistic way, so we respond to it in that way. So this is what Pesach is all about. And you could say that if this isn't the most important lesson or thing to keep in mind constantly, and to be constantly working on, constantly in our entire lives, then I'm not sure what is. And if you understand how important and how central this is, how critical this is for our daily avodah in life, and how it constantly needs to be rechecked, and constantly, because everything that we do, there's always the next level. There's always something else. Because whatever happened yesterday is, how does the line go? That yesterday's goal is today's goals, right? You understand that? The things that I did that were so out of myself yesterday, that I broke out, that I did something amazing yesterday, is my limitations today. So at every level, at every step, there's another level that we have to go deeper. And that possibly is why, or one of the reasons why you have, why you see that in every single thing that we do, every single bracha and benching and everywhere constantly, even things that are seemingly not related at all to Pesach, we're constantly throwing in Zecher L'Tzias Mitzrayim. Right? You ever heard this line? It's like it's everywhere. It's everywhere. We're always saying we're this and this and this and this to commemorate this and this and this and this, and to remember going out of Egypt. And remember going out of Egypt. It's constant. It's in the Shema that we say 3 times a day, and it's in Kiddush that we make on Shabbos. It's all over. It's wherever we go, both in small mitzvahs and big mitzvahs, wherever it is. It's constant remembering what does Kiddush on Shabbos have to do with Yitzis Mitzrayim? What is accepting upon ourselves the yoke of heaven have to do with Yitzis Mitzrayim? This is something that happened in Jewish history. What does it have to do? What do all these things have to do with Yitzis Mitzrayim? And one of the answers is just exactly this that we're talking about. That when we do what we need to be doing on Pesach and the Leil HaSeder, the night of the Seder, where we go out of ourselves. So we need to realign ourselves with this mission statement, with this focus, where we can never be content with where we are, but we always have to be going out and doing something else. We have to be deepening our potential. As soon as the second that we reach our potential, immediately we see the next horizon of our next potential. It's always there waiting for us at the next turn. And so that's what we remind ourselves every single mitzvah that we do multiple times throughout the day, that remember that whatever you're doing, don't just do it by rote. Don't just do it because you did it yesterday. Don't just do it because this is what we do, but do it in a way that you are taking the Mitzrayim out of you, that you are remembering and recognizing that the Mitzrayim that you have is not something inside you or that we talk about, is not something that happened 3,300 years ago, but it's the self-imposed prison that we create for ourselves that inhibit us from becoming successful in life. On a very basic level, at a very human, physical, day-to-day level, not even anything spiritual. Certainly, of course, our spiritual connection with Hashem is also inhibited by this, but even just very basic daily human emotions, human relations, success in life, and so on, is inhibited by people's self-imposed limitations and self-imposed self-image. And so Mitzrayim, going out of Mitzrayim is exactly this, realizing that the cage that I live in is something that I built. The key that seems to be locking me in is something that I had and I threw away, and I have to go find it, open the door and get out. And I'm my own captor. But anyway, fine. So now we have the 15 steps. So we start with the Seder. And like I said, there's nothing in the Seder, not anything that we do, not anything in the Haggadah that we say that isn't full of meaning and has a lot of important significance. So there's a half hour. So there's 2 explanations that I found that I'm going to share with you. Hopefully we'll be able to do this in a half hour. So there's two explanations I found. One is by the Alshif, where he looks at these 15 steps, and he doesn't look at it as 15 separate steps, but rather he explains it as how it's all one sentence, and how it's a continuation one of the other of how a person is supposed to, through these 15 steps, reach a level of Geula. And then there's another one that I hope we have time to get to, that I heard from Rabbi Jacobson. It's also a very, very beautiful idea. So everyone open up. You have the first 15 steps, Kadesh Rochatz. 15 steps. In between each one, there's like a period or a comma or something, showing that each one's a separate thing. But in reality, it's all one sentence. Each one leads one into the other. So the Alshich says like this, that Kadesh, everything here is, so the Alshich writes or explains this al pi remez, right? We know that there's four different layers of interpretation of the Torah. So remez is the level of the hints. What are the hints? We find this all, it's like the secret language that God has with us. Yeah? You have all types of different syntaxes or words or specific language that's used in the Torah, and many times the Torah could have used a simpler word, a different word, an easier word, a more well-known word, or in some cases even a word in Hebrew. There's some words that are in Torah that are not even in actual Lashon Kodesh. And so all of these words contain a hint. They contain some sort of something that's supposed to spark a memory or an association with another word or another idea that gives us a hint about what this pasuk is really talking about. So this is, like I said, this is understanding the whole Kadesh Orchat's sentence or 15 steps, al derech haremez, in a way of hints, where it'll take the words and it'll look at it from the remez perspective, and it'll associate it with something else, a pasuk or something else that tells us what it's really talking about. And the first one is really very simple. It's something that we don't that we all get used to very quickly, because we hear this all the way, from childhood, that of the 15 steps, that it starts out with Kadesh. Kadesh. What is Kadesh? What is Kadesh? Kiddush. So why don't we say Kiddush? Why don't we say Kiddush? What? Fine. So let's make Kiddush and let's have a Suda. Why do we call it Kaddish? Have you ever heard in Shul where they say that after davening, there will be a Kaddish that will be sponsored by Mr. and Mrs. Goldberg, that will be in the Shul after the thing? Or this guy that you hear, this guy is throwing a Kaddish in his house in honor of someone and so forth. No, it's Kiddush. What? What are you saying?
Like divide the holidays from like very holy part, then divide previous parts from.
That's what Kiddush is?
Yeah.
That's what Kiddush is, or Kaddish?
Kiddush.
Kiddush. So my question is, why don't we say Kiddush in the thing, in the 15 steps? Why, if the step one is Kiddush, why do we call it Kaddish? You understand the question?
Yeah.
So if you're understanding this, you're looking at this al derech haremez. So there's a famous line that we find in Halacha, and it's in Tanya more than once, where it says that Kadesh, it starts off a line that says Kadesh atzmecha v'muter lach. Anyone familiar with this line? You ever heard of this before? Yeah, no? Yeah, you heard it? Yeah. So what, Tanya? So what does it mean? So what does it mean?
Because you need to give yourself what, not what's permitted.
What? Okay, fine. So you say and I'll translate.
Okay. אנחנו יכולים להשתמש לא בכל מה שמותר.
Okay.
לא כל מה שמותר נחוץ.
Not everything that you need, you have to have. Yeah? Use. Okay. So what Kaddish Atzmecha Mutalach means, what she's saying is that not everything that you're allowed to use do you need to use, and do you need to use in every way? Or in different words is that even though there are things that are permissible, but there's a Jewish way to do everything. So non-kosher food, for instance, is not Jewish. It's not allowed. It's off the table. It's not part of the stuff that we do. Kosher food is food that we eat. But just because there's food that we eat doesn't mean that there isn't a Jewish way of eating food. What does it mean, a Jewish way of eating food? Or a Jewish way of doing anything? Everything has a Jewish way of doing it. Even things that are permissible can be done in a way that draws more holiness, more godliness, more refinement, more Jewishness, more meaning, more mindfulness, more purpose, more focus into everything that we do. So a person can eat because he enjoys eating. He can eat because he's hungry. He can eat because he just likes to eat, and he's not hungry, but he's just stuffing his face. And you can eat in a gluttonous way. You can eat in a way that that's that's not refined, that's not, that sitting in a place and eating properly with a fork and knife. You could sit and eat straight out of the pan, and you can eat with your hands, and you can eat, and the food's dripping everywhere. Whatever. I don't have to give examples. Whatever. There's ways to eat that are nice and refined and what's the word? What? Yeah, menumas. What? Yeah, it's an etiquette. That has with manners. And then you can eat, and that's just on a very basic level. And then there's also mindfulness, that you could think that I'm eating this food because I want to be able to go later. I have strength in my body to be able to live, to breathe, and to do mitzvahs, and to learn Torah, and to do the things that I'm going to do, and then actually do those things. To actually go with the energy that you have from eating whatever food that you ate. So then you're going to go and do those things using that energy, going to good places, doing good things, and so on. So everything that we do can be done in a holy way, in a purposeful way, or it can be done in the opposite. So that's what the remez is, the first word of the pasuk. Kadesh is the Kadesh Atzavum Mutlach. The first thing is that when a person wants to come to holiness, the first thing is like this. If you're showing up at the Seder, so you've already gotten rid of all of your chametz. You've already cleaned your entire house top to bottom. Everything is shining and gleaming, and everyone's sitting at the Seder in their Yom Tov finest. So you have already gotten rid of all of your ego, right? The chametz is considered like ego, because the chametz it rises and it's full of air, and the matzah is lowly and flat and represents humility. So once a person already is coming to the Seder, so the person has already gotten rid of, they've already done b'dikas and bir chametz. They've already checked and looked and found, and they've destroyed all of their chametz. They've destroyed all their arrogance. They've destroyed all their ego. Now they're coming to the Seder, and now they want to achieve greater holiness. They want to achieve greater connection. They want to achieve they want to get out of themselves and become something completely different. So the first thing is that the Haggadah tells us is that we have to go, is that the things that the bad things, the undesirable things you already dealt with. You already got rid of the chametz in your house. Now you're here at the Seder. But now you want to achieve greater holiness. So the first step in doing that, after you've gotten rid of all the things that are not good in your life, if you want to get out of wherever you are and to become a completely different person, is that now all the things that you're going to do this evening, do with mindfulness, do with purpose, do with focus. Kadesh Atzavum Mutalach. Do the things that you're supposed to do, but find and search for things that you can do in every single step of the Seder and everything in your life, to find how you can use it and utilize it as a tool to get closer to Hashem. What don't you understand?
You need to take any step with what?
And look, everything that we do in life, even if it's something that has nothing to do with holiness, it's not a Jewish thing, it's not davening or learning, it's just a regular thing like eating or sleeping or just going about our day. You can find in every single thing that we do a way to connect with Hashem, a way to bring holiness and Jewishness in every single thing that you do all throughout your day. Makes sense?
So how's that Kaddish?
That's step one. How is it Kiddush or how is it Kaddish?
I don't know.
So the simple understanding is that the first step is that we make Kiddush. But the first step towards redemption, the first step for change, the first step to get out of ourselves is first of all we get rid of all the dirt. First we get rid of the chametz. And now that we're at the Seder, so now we want to achieve Geula. The way that we achieve Geula is, first of all, is that to not be fragmented. Not to be that here I'm at the Seder and then tomorrow I'm going to do my, whatever I want to do. Every single thing that we do should be part of our mission statement of what we want to do, which is to come closer to Hashem, to come closer to ourselves, to be more whole with ourselves, not to be fragmented, which the fragmented we'll get to later with Yachatz. You understand?
Yeah.
So after a person does this, after a person does Kaddish, after a person says and looks and finds ways that every single thing that they do or that we do, we can find a way of coming closer to Hashem. So then there's Urchatz, then we wash our hands. Urchatz again is a remez to a pasuk in Yeshaya. It says, Rachatzu hizachi hasiru ra. It says that we wash our hands in order to purify and to remove all badness, all uncleanliness. After a person looks for ways to connect with Hashem through mundane things, so then they will find a lot of debris or a lot of things that are very physical, that are very far from Hashem. They're very far from, or they're very difficult to bring closer to Hashem. Or we ourselves will find difficult that every single thing we do will be focused in this way. And so therefore the second step is that we have to wash and clean our hands, which is a remez, which is a hint to this pasuk, that we have to clean and remove more of the bad that's there, even though we've already removed all of that before the Seder. But now when we move into a deeper level, there's always another layer of dirt that needs to be removed. After that comes karpas. Karpas comes from the word kaf rosh. Kaf rosh means, kaf means your hand, and rosh means the paw. That the first thing we must do is to focus more on giving to others than the amount that we give to ourselves. When we focus on others, so then right away we leave a self-centric or a self-centered existence, and the world starts to look differently, because it's not about what I can do for myself. It's about what I have that I can do for others. Everyone with me?
What's the connection to karpas?
The actual ritual of karpas?
No, what did you spoke now about karpas, no?
Yeah.
What's the connection
To the actual food, to what we actually do.
Yeah, to what we,
You're asking the deeper meaning of karpas.
yeah.
The deeper meaning of karpas is just like the simple meaning is that is samach perach, and the what's it called, the salt water is like our tears that we work so hard. Right? You familiar with samach perach? You know this. So this is another explanation. Another explanation is that it could be spelled karpas, could be spelled kaf rosh.
Why?
Why?
Possible kaf rosh. Yeah.
You want me to write it out, or you want to? There's, you mix around the letters. It's a remez. Kaf, fei, resh, shin. It's the first and third letter, and then the second and the fourth.
The karpas is spelled with the sun.
What?
Karpas is spelled with the sun.
True. That's why it's called a remez. You're right. You're 100% right.
Wait, what's the name of these physical letters? What is it?
We do it all the time.
No. But
What's it called? It's called switching the letters.
No. But what is the word that you get when you switch the letters?
Kaf rosh, that a hand that gives to the poor.
How is it removing potato giving to the poor?
How is, what is it?
Like the step in the Seder, how is that connected to giving to the poor?
It's a good question.
What did Rabbi just say about this?
About what?
About what we were talking?
This is when we dip the thing,
Right.
the root vegetable in the salt water.
Right.
So I don't understand how that's.
It doesn't necessarily have to connect. The next step is yachat.
I didn't understand.
What don't you understand?
I didn't understand what it means by us. It's a word about us, right?
Yeah.
So what do we need to do in karpas?
We need to remember that we have to give, we have to think about others before we think about ourselves. Is that it?
Ah,
Yeah?
you get it?
The next step is yachatz. What do we do with yachatz? Yachatz, we take the middle matzah and we break it in half. The bigger piece goes to tzafun, the bigger piece goes for the afikoman, and the smaller piece we put back into the matzah. What does yachatz represent? What is it telling us that we're supposed to do? It's what it means to say. What it's telling us is that the greater things, the bigger things are left for later. It means that we do a lot of things. we do mitzvahs, we learn Torah, but we don't necessarily see the impact the Torah mitzvahs has on our lives or in the world. But that's okay. That's the way Hashem designed the world. He designed the world in a way that the reward or the impact that we have through doing Torah mitzvahs happens, or we see after Mashiach comes, not before. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is delayed gratification. It's a concept called delayed gratification. If we are constantly looking for instant gratification, if we're looking for instant impact, if we have no patience with ourselves or with the world, so then we'll never achieve anything that's worthwhile. Good things come to those who wait. Not necessarily wait, but that invest, that continue. That we don't get discouraged if in the first try it doesn't work. We get up and we try again and we try again and we try again. It says that a tzaddik falls down 7 times and then gets up again. It says in Chazal that Sheva Parim tzaddik yipol v'kam, that a tzaddik falls 7 times and then continues to get up. And the question is, of course, is what does it mean that a tzaddik falls down 7 times? If a tzaddik, meaning spiritually, means they mess up. So if the tzaddik falls, so then how is he a tzaddik? If 7 times in one day a tzaddik messes up, so then he's not a tzaddik. He's just like every one of us. We all fall many times during the day. So why is he considered a tzaddik? The answer is he's considered a tzaddik because he gets up. The tzaddik, the difference between a righteous person and a not righteous person is not the things that they fall in, the places that they fall, or the things that they don't know how to do, or the things that they're not yet good at, or the things that they mess up in. The definition of a righteous person is a person that doesn't give up, that continues to persevere, that continues to get up and try again, even though they fell down once and twice and 3 times and 5 times, and even 6 times and even 7 times. And after the 7th time, they continue to get up. And then the next day they go through the whole thing all over again. And they keep falling and falling and falling and falling, and they keep getting up and starting all over. So this is what Yachatz tells us. Yachatz tells us that the best is later. That the smaller part is what we have now, but the bigger part is left. But the bigger part is left for later.
Is she the carbon Pesach?
Clearly.
Like,
But the next step is everyone with me? Is anyone with me?
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the anchor out there.
I think it's a cat.
The next step after Yachas is Magid Rachza. Magid Rachza is, he reads over here as 2 different things, two things that are the same thing. Now, it's not 2 steps, it's 1 step. Magid Rachza, Magid means to tell over, is to relate. And Rachza is to wash, right? We wash our hands. So Magid Rachza means that we tell others how they should wash. In other words, after we've gone through all these steps, we're Kaddish Atzmo, we find ways of connecting in everything that we do. And then, in everything that we do, and then we learn, we cleanse ourselves, and then afterwards we look to give to others before ourselves, or at least as much as we're giving to ourselves. And then we learn the secret of delayed gratification. We learn to have patience. We learn to realize that things that we do have an impact that we're going to experience later on. At that point, we are ready to give more to others, and we're supposed to tell and give and explain to others how they're supposed to do the same process of purification of rachza. The next step after that is maitzi matzah. Maitzi is that we find, and matzah is the Yetzer Tov. Matzah represents humility, and so maitzi matzah is to find the Yetzer Tov within us, to find the good within us, to find the good within us, and to find and identify the good that we have within us, and that comes before marar, which is finding the bitterness, finding the Yetzer Hara that's within us. It's important to know and to differentiate between the 2 different parts of ourselves, that are good and that are bad. Should we talk about those girls screaming downstairs in the?
No, it's not good.
What?
It's not good.
No, it's not a good topic?
No, it's not good.
Oh. What?
One day they was screaming like close to the ground, it's upset like the whole bit.
Uh-huh. So what'd you
They
do?
don't care.
Where are we up to?
What do you want? It's done, we need to find the version themselves.
So it's a very important thing. It's a very important thing for us to recognize both the good and the bad. One of the biggest problems that a lot of people have, or one of the biggest pitfalls that people have in creating limitations for themselves, is that they spend too much time focusing on the things that are negative within themselves. You understand? You listening to what I'm saying? We are our worst enemies, but we're also our worst critics. We are very, very self-conscious. We are very self-critical. We don't give ourselves enough slack. We don't celebrate what?
What is that? Don't give ourselves enough
Credit. We don't celebrate enough the successes that we have. All the successes are there only to sort of to fill or to compensate for all the negative things and all the failures that we did before. And it's never enough. It's never enough. And even if it is good, the things that we did, we don't spend enough time celebrating it. And we spend too much time being hard on ourselves or criticizing ourselves for the bad things or the negative things or the not yet 100% perfect things in ourselves. And that's a very, 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 very important process to stop and to celebrate who we are and the amazing things that we have. Not only that, but in the order of the Haggadah, it's first important to find the Yetzer Hara, Meitzi Matzah, and then afterwards to find the Yetzer Hara. In other words, if you are weak and broken and beaten, you won't have any success in fighting the Yetzer Hara or anything else that's inside you for that matter. Not on a physical level and not on a spiritual level. A very weak person has a very difficult time getting better from illness. A very weak person will also have a very hard time fighting demons within. And so therefore we have to make ourselves stronger and fortify ourselves as people, both on a physical level and also on a spiritual level in order to fight off negative things or things that we don't want. And so therefore the first thing that we need to do is we need to understand who we are and what we are good at, and to spend time focusing, strengthening, and celebrating the things that we are good at, the things that we are our strengths. And then after that, once we have a little more self-confidence, a little bit more, a better self-image, then we can go and then we can fight the Yetzer Hara. Then we can fight things that are within us. We have to remember that we are made up, let's say, of 10 different parts, right? There are 10 spheres, right? We have our intellect and our emotions, whatever. So you can split it up into 10 parts. It doesn't make a difference how many parts. Just for the sake of what I'm saying, I'll say that let's say we all have 10 parts. It says that a person is born completely unrefined, right? You don't know how to speak, you don't know how to talk, you don't know how to walk, you don't do anything, and slowly you grow up and you learn how to do all types of different things. We start with zero information, a clean hard drive, absolute, a clean slate, wet cement. And then over the course of our lives, we grow and we learn. Sometimes we learn the easy way, sometimes we learn the hard way, but certainly we start at zero, more or less. Sometimes we even start less than zero. I don't know any person, especially a Jew, that comes into this world that doesn't have some sort of trauma from a previous life. But that's a different discussion. Every person at the very least starts here with zero. So if a person starts here with zero, so that means that there are 10 things. If a person has 10 parts, that means that there are 10 things that a person needs to fix. For some reason, at 14 years old or 16 years old or 19 years old, we're expected to be, or we expect of ourselves, to already have gone through all of these different levels and changed ourselves, refined ourselves, become already a whole person. And by 20 years old, we're already a full adult. We have to take full responsibility for all of our actions. And we're expected to be completely perfect people by 20 years old. When in reality, Hashem put us here for 100 years. And those 100 years are to fix all 10 parts, and each 10 years is for another part. But the reason why I'm saying this, is, well, first of all, not to be so hard on ourselves, we're not perfect by the time we're 20. By the time we're 20, I hate to break it to you, but we're only even starting. We barely started. We're not even adults. But what it means that you have to be brave enough, you have to have enough courage, not only to decide to fix one part of yourself at a time, but it also means that you have to continuously maintain the other 9 negative parts of you while you're working on one. Do you understand what that means? It's not only that you're juggling, it's about accepting and loving yourself. Even though you've recognized and you know that 90% of you is messed up. It's okay. It's okay. You were created that way. That's why you're here. If a person has a job to clean up an entire warehouse that has 10 rooms, that's full of garbage, the first day that he comes, and then the boss comes and he sees that all the rooms are dirty, he's not going to yell at him and criticize him and tell him, why is this place still dirty? What do you mean, why is this place still dirty? I just got here. I only just started with room number 1. But that means that you have to maintain the other 9 rooms of junk. You have to protect it. You have to watch it. You have to make sure that it doesn't get dirtier. Or at the very least, just to maintain it as it is. Because if you try to clean all 10 rooms at the same time, then you're just going to be rotating garbage. You have to clean one room. You have to clean one room, finish with one room, get all of the junk out of one room, and then seal that room. Say, okay, fine, this room is kosher for Pesach. And then go to the second room. But if you're cleaning everything at the same time, then everything is like floating and juggling and up in the air. And so you're set up for disaster before you even start. You have to focus on one thing. You have to do that one thing, finish with one thing, and maintain and be okay and accept the fact that the rest of your building, the rest of your warehouse is filthy. And that's okay. That's okay. It's the only way that you're going to be able to clean one part before getting to the second. So that's the remes. Maitzi matzah, first recognize your Yetzer Hara, recognize what you have, recognize your strengths, and then go to the Mara and fight your Yetzer Hara. Once you recognize what the Yetzer Hara is and what the Yetzer Tov is, what your strengths are, where you fall, where your weaknesses and where your strengths are, then you can do kairech. Then you can put them together. You can mix them together. You can wrap them together, and utilize both the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara for good things. Once we've come to this level, then we're ready for Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch is a set table. The set table is that at this point we come to the end of where we receive our reward. When we start to see the fruits of all of the labor that we've put in up until this point. And then after that we come to Tzafon. Tzafon is what we said before that we put aside. We did the Yachatz, and we were okay. We accepted the fact that we're only going to see a small amount of impact, a small amount of success, a small amount of fruit, so to speak, in what we're doing. But now in the end, now Tzafon, the bigger piece comes out, and we're able to see the light, the impact, how it has all come together and has finally clicked. And has brought us to the place to be the person that we want to be. After that, we do Berach, Halal, and Nirtzah, where we bless and praise, which is two separate steps. First, there's thank you, and then there's praise. These are the two different steps. The reason why there's two different steps is because thanking is not the same thing as praising, and praising is not the same thing as thanking. And you need a greater level of personal freedom, a personal getting out of yourself in order to both to praise, to thank and to praise. People that are not free don't say thank you. I heard this a while back. I thought it was weird, but then I saw it, and I don't know if you guys see this in yourselves or in others, but it's a reality. It's a true thing that people that are stuck in fear of where is my next piece of bread going to come from, or where am I going to sleep tonight, are not really able to see others because they're consumed, rightfully so. They're consumed by just survival. Freedom is not about survival. Freedom is about thriving, not about surviving. It's important that we get out of ourselves and see others, and that's why so much part of the Seder is about others and telling to others and giving to others and inviting others and so on. It's a family yontiv. It's for parents and children to discuss it. If you're wrapped up in yourself, you can't do this. You can't do this. At any rate, that's the end of the Seder. Then Nirtzah, and then we hope that all of this that we've done is accepted and wanted and desired on high by Hashem, and when we're ready, that He's there to take us out to the next level. Good. Okay. See you tomorrow.